Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Baldur's Gate 3 director has some few choice words for the gaming industry at the most recent GDC. Let's see what he has to say. In this article from Bounding into Comments, Baldur's Gate 3 director slams video game industry for putting profits above all else. Greed has been effing this whole thing up for so long. In giving a very public voice to the frustrations of many a gamer and recently laid-off developer, Baldur's Gate 3 director Sven Vincke used the game's recent win at 2024 Game Developer Conference Awards as an opportunity to blast how the ever-growing greed of the industry is having an overall detrimental effect on its health. Now, when you use the term greed, you'd think of negative connotations, of course, but ultimately a business has to make money. So you have to find that happy medium where fault lies. When you put what some see as predatory microtransactions into a game, the game suffers. Some developers have been accused of throttling game progression in certain games, Ubisoft looking at you, in order to make the microtransactions far more appealing as far as progression goes. These are seen as pay to win or pay for convenience, quality of life, but in essence, you're dropping premium price and then extra and extra and extra. And I believe that's what he's referring to. However, the game has to make money. If the game doesn't make money, there's no games after that. And as gamers, that's what we want. The next fun project, the next fun game. So where does that happy medium lie? Taking the stage to accept the show's award for Best Narrative on behalf of Baldur's Gate 3 and his team at Larian Studios, Vincke declared the attendees, am I saying his name right? They'll correct me if I'm not. As per a recap provided by Eurogamer, a bastion of journalistic integrity, quote, "Greed has been effing this whole thing up for so long since I started. I've been fighting publishers my entire life. And I'll keep on seeing the same mistakes over and over and over," he lamented. "It's always the quarterly profits. Quarterly profits are important. The only thing that matters are the numbers. And then you fire everybody, and the next year you say, shit, I'm out of developers. And then you start hiring people again, and you do acquisitions, and then you put them in the same loop again, and it's just broken." Now that I'll definitely agree with him. You can't just dump the first team, unless, of course, it's astronomically bad. Where are these developers, these coders, going to learn their trade unless they're allowed to make a mistake here and there? Not everyone can go out and make their own independent game, apply their trade, get some experience under their belt, and then go work for one of the AAA companies. I don't believe that's how it works all the time. Now, out there, you have independent studios building their own games. You have individuals coding games in their home, a single person on a single game, but not all of them blow up. Some do. Look at Five Nights at Freddy's. Look at Bendy and the Ink Machine. I believe Poppy Playtime. All different games like this were developed by small studios, small teams, and they became big hits. Not every game, not every independent project is going to follow that same pattern. But ultimately, how can you sit there and have an entire team of developers work on a project, and if it doesn't hit the numbers you expect, which is getting higher and higher each project because they want the big money, they want more and more money each subsequent project. But if it doesn't hit those numbers, even though the game might make a profit, you let them go and hire a new team, rinse and repeat. I don't think that's healthy for the industry. Quote continues, "You don't have to." Okay, he proceeded to lament. "You can make reserves, just slow down a bit, slow down on the greed. Not a bad idea. Be resilient, take care of the people. Don't lose the institutional knowledge that's been built up in the people you lose every single time. So you have to go through the same cycle over and over and over. It really pisses me off." Yeah, he's got a point there. Notably, this is not the first time the member of Larian's studio team has publicly called out the video game industry for continuously choosing to chase profits instead of taking care of their human talent. In giving his acceptance speech following Baldur's Gate 3's Game of the Year at 2024 DICE Awards, Larian studio director of Publishing, Michael Dowse, blasted how the industry, quote, bad sometimes at showing developers what they're worth. Can't agree more. When you have companies that make record profits year after year after year, and yet all of a sudden a news story comes out a week later, or even the week before, about 900 people got laid off, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, all across the gaming industry. You have teams getting laid off left, right, and center, and yet these corporations are making record profits. That's a bit of a mystery, wouldn't you think? If the company's making profits, why are you laying people off? You're getting rid of the people who got you those profits. Perhaps, maybe, just maybe, make some concessions, put some money aside, as this article speaks about. Put some money aside to keep those teams active, to keep them on your payroll, and allow them to make the next big blockbuster. Might not be a bad idea. Many, many people were let go at the start of the year, referring to the ongoing waves of layoffs which have swept the industry in recent months, while studio execs, just like I said, continue to profit millions in salary and bonuses. Now, it's difficult. You have to be careful faulting the payroll of the people in charge, because that is set long before any game has been made. But at the same time, like, perhaps, maybe, just maybe, put something in the contract where if you hit your goals, if you make these record profits, you're not allowed to lay anyone off. Why can't we have these contracts with the CEOs and the CFOs? Quote continues, I want you to know that you are talented and that you matter and that you are future of this industry. Correct. Don't let that flame be extinguished by our collective mistakes. Again, how big of a mistake can it be made when the CEOs, when the company is making record profits? Again, I should definitely talk about this more. I know everyone here is scared because shit's really fucked up. All of your projections are wrong and it's scary, but we persevere as an industry. We will persevere as an, you saying it twice, but we persevere as an industry. We will persevere as an industry. Oh, good Lord. And you will all find your place and you will all be welcomed back with open arms. I don't know. How much would you want to go back to work for a company that laid you off and the CEO got more money than, you can shake a stick at? But hey, sorry. I know, we just can't afford to keep you. Now, at the same time, also these layoffs, you have to look at what department of the company were they part of? Were they part of a department that was downsized, that was no longer in use? Perhaps the guys developing the single-player games are still employed, but the online division or the esports division is being closed because said developer is no longer doing those things with their games, so they let those people go. Again, you have to make your own decisions as far as how you want to judge the company in that manner. A lot of people probably know what's the secret to our success. Yeah, I think the secret to their success is they just make a good game. They keep their heads down. Secret to our success was a decision that we make come from, say, what does the player want? Oh my goodness, what an interesting little statement that is. There's a lot of nonsense going on in the game industry right now where these developers, these consulting companies, trying to tell the gamers what they want, when ultimately they're the customers. They're the ones with the wallets that they choose to open or close. And when you begin to ignore what the customer wants, what the player wants, when you choose to ignore them and insult them, you push them away, they close their wallets, and your game will fail after another, after another, after another. Continue to insult, continue to not give the players what they want, and they'll just go find another game to play. What does the player want? What do I think is best for the game? Find that happy medium again. What is the most fun? Key word there for gamers. What's the most fun? You can have a buggy, glitchy game with poor frame rate, poor optimization, and even a microtransaction here and there. Quality of life stuff. But if the game's fun and you can ignore the quality of life purchases, you might be surprised at how much a player can tolerate. Doesn't surprise me, honestly. I played Cyberpunk 2077 for 600 hours before the game, while the game was crashing every 2 hours on me. That was a slog. Well, I think I only had about 235 when it was crashing. I think after about 3 or 4 patches, maybe 7 or 8, when the game stopped crashing like clockwork, I kept playing it. But again, I found the game fun. I found the storylines interesting. The world was beautiful. So I chose to look past the bugs and glitches and crashing. Gamers will do this if you can pull them in. However, when the story sucks, when you put some sort of message before the story and before the characters, people won't play it. They'll let their friends know. They'll make videos. Content creators will put reviews out, smashing the game all to hell. And people who bought the game will go, quote unquote, review bomb it to let everyone know, do not put your money on this. So maybe let's just get back to what is the most fun. What is the most crazy people telling us we shouldn't do this, or we can't do it, or this is too challenging or too hard. Too challenging and too hard. Go talk to From Software about what's too challenging or too hard. Elden Scrolls. Elden Ring was my first experience with a From Software game, and my understanding that the other games are far more difficult, and that's fine, but I had a blast. I played Armored Core 6, had an absolute blast. Is it the easiest game in the world? Are there difficulty settings that you can change? Absolutely not. One difficulty, one setting, just go. Get good or move on. And I don't have a problem with that. And a lot of gamers out there absolutely love the challenge. So is it too challenging? For gamers, there's no such thing. They like a challenge. That usually just gives us a kick in the arse to actually make it happen. Nice little motivation there. Ultimately, he's right. Putting greed, putting profits is not necessarily a bad thing, but when the story and the gameplay suffers for it, then you have a problem. The corporations, all the big AAA developers out there probably need to learn something, could learn something from Larian Studios in this whole situation. Focus on fun, focus on story, and you might be surprised at how much more of the profits start rolling in. Get your investors happy. If you make the gamers happy, they buy your game, they tell their friends who buy the game, and ultimately, the investors get happy. But let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like, leave a dislike. Oh, just do all those nifty little things that YouTubers beg you to do, and I'll hope to see you on the next one.